How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and quite recently on this channel we took a look at Color Out of Space, which is one of the newest, if not the newest, H.P. Lovecraft movies. And it was pretty good, and it got me inspired to take a look at another Lovecraft film. So I picked one that I hadn't seen before. This is The Color Out of Space from 1970, and fun fact, this is a very early H.P. Lovecraft film, and is actually only the fifth one ever, the fifth one made up until that point. Now, he would of course get lots of writing credits later. His IMDb is quite long, especially because of short student films, but this was only number 5. This is directed by Daniel Haller, starring Sandra and Dean Stockwell, and was produced by horror legend Roger Corman. So how does this version of the story go? You get Wilbur Wheatley traveling to Arkham because in Miskatonic University's library there is a very rare book, the Necronomicon, and this may be the only copy left in the world. So he wants to go and study it, and along the way there he meets up with Professor Armitage. Professor Armitage studies sociology, I believe, and that's why he's interested in the book. But Armitage actually wrote a piece on Wilbur Wheatley's great-grandfather. You see, way back in the day, Wilbur Wheatley's great-grandfather was accused of witchcraft, and of course he was killed, and ever since then, all of his descendants, including Wilbur, have been ostracized from the town he lives in. No one really wants to talk to him. So, in DunWich, Wilbur's this outcast, and he wants to study the Necronomicon that his grandfather used to study. He's a student of the occult, and he wants to understand his grandfather better, or at least that's kind of his excuse. There's obviously more to it. However, Professor Armitage does not let him do this. He gets to look at the book for a little bit, but he wants to see it more. He really does have to be getting home, though, but unfortunately for Wilbur, he misses his bus, but fortunately for him, young student Nancy, played by Sandra D, decides, oh, I can drive you back to your home in Dunwich. And when they get there, Wilbur quite sneakily messes with her car so it won't start, and using his way with words, he convinces her to stay the night. You know, the car's broken, no one's gonna come down here at night, just stay the night. But then when morning comes, you know, why not stay the morning? And he's kind of pulling her into his house, kind of getting her to want to be with him. But it's more than just, you know, getting her to stay around. There's something strange going on. There's an old-timey altar not too far from the house, and in addition to that, there's Wilbur's grandfather who seems to want to say that something's up, and then, unbeknownst to her, there's something locked in an upstairs room. So there's a bit going on, but she doesn't quite know yet. And that's really actually a weird thing, how they portray the character Wilbur Wheatley. You kind of get a sort of Norman Bates vibe off of him, where you can tell there's something weird with this guy, but he's polite and he knows to say the right thing. So, you know, he's a nice, timid guy. There should be nothing wrong with him. But, you know, he's weird, and you start to, you know, really notice he's up to something. This is a very old-timey movie, and one of the things you notice about it is it does feel a lot like a stage play. I mean, I know some of Hammer's old movies get talked about how they look stage play, but you know, you look at the house they live in, and it's pretty obviously a set. If you're a fan of old-timey horror, it does have a lot of old-timey charm, but compare that to what it should have been, though. A lot of Lovecraft fans got kind of mad at this because it really only keeps the bones of the story. You do get Wilbur and the thing in the attic, but in this version of the story, a lot of the big events have taken place way in the past, versus in the written story, it's all happening right then in the moment. And a lot of the concerns of H.P. Lovecraft's original story were the town of DunWich being terrorized by this unseen force, which you really only get a little bit of at the very end of this movie. And yeah, they keep all that just for the end when, you know, in the novel it's like, it got out, it went over here, and it killed these cows, and we don't know what it is, and there's a lot more research to figure out how to defeat it. And in turn that, you know, without the research, it changes a lot of the ending segments up, and things don't quite fit exactly right. Now, that being said, why this does change a lot of the story, it does have the essential elements there, and it didn't bug me too much. I know that lots of these old-timey ones got changed around a lot, and I'm happy for what we got. To be fair, I think it does a fair amount right. And while this isn't a classic horror movie, it really does have a fair amount of good and interesting parts. Yeah, not the biggest thing ever, but if you're Lovecraft fans, there's something to enjoy here. But if you're fans of old-timey horror movies, you know, I mentioned Hammer earlier, but about that era. This is 1970. So if you're fans of older style classic horror, you really do get to see that. But like I said, it doesn't focus on the actual DunWich Horror. You get actually a lot of flashbacks to cult stuff, and it feels more like Wicker Man sometimes in the flashbacks, not for most of the movie. But yeah, it kind of misses the mark there. But overall, for what it is, it's a fine movie. It is some interesting stuff, but compared to what the DunWich Horror should be as Lovecraft wrote it, it would have been a much bigger and harder to pull off movie. And it is kind of sad that we haven't gotten that adaptation of it. But taking it for what it is, it's a fun, classic horror movie, you know, classic referring to the era. So, if you're a fan of, you know, it's 1970, but a lot of 60s tropes in there too, you know, because it just turned to the new decade. 60s horror, 70s horror fans, you'll probably find a lot in here that you like, but don't expect the world of it, you know, but it's still pretty good. Anyway, I'll be back with another movie really soon. If you guys stuck around this far, thanks for watching. You really help out the channel. And if any of you like and subscribe, thank you. You are really helping me out. Anyway, I'll be back later with more movies. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.